It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm John Corrales from the Locked On Celtics podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier. In the all-new Frontier, the adventure begins where the road ends, so get out there and find your Frontier. The all-new Frontier has 310 horsepower standard for when the trail gets tough. Shop NissanUSA.com today to see more features the Frontier is loaded with, from premium interior and a 9-inch touchscreen and zero-gravity front seats. Find your Frontier today in the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier. Shop NissanUSA.com.
What's up and welcome into a fresh week of Locked On Bulls. I'm Matt. That's Big Dave. Up ahead on today's program, we got two, not one, but two preseason games, preseason victories to break down. The Bulls, a blowout win over the Pelicans, and a tight one that the Bulls pull out thanks to their second-round rookie, Ayo Dosunmu, beating the Cavs in their rematch Sunday night. That's all up next on a fresh Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here are your hosts, Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson.
What's up and welcome into Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Peck. That's my co-host, Big Dave Watson. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow Dave at BAWL Sports, and you can follow us at Locked On Bulls. Shoot us an email, lockedonbulls@gmail.com, and hit us up on that text and voicemail line for our weekly mailbag episodes. 331-979-1369 is that number. Happy Monday, Bulls Nation, and a great Monday if you are a Chicago fan across the board. The Bulls, the Sky, the Bears, and the White Sox, a clean sweep with victories for each team yesterday, Big Dave. My friend, awesome watching the Bears game with you yesterday. What was your favorite victory of the day?
Oh, wow. Great question. I think I'm going to go, it's a tie. I'm going to go with the Bears and the Sky because those are both games that I really didn't think either one of them would win. And the Sky won in a fashion I definitely didn't think they would win in, which was pretty
convincingly
down. You know, I've been talking about Copper this entire playoffs, man, and she showed why again last game. She's been phenomenal, just really great. And the Bears, I mean, they did Bear stuff. Nobody expected them to win. And they went in there and they did it, man. Khalil Mack, he's got to be in the talk for Defensive Player of the Year right now. Has to.
Man, and meanwhile, the Bulls keep on rolling. They get their first close preseason game that they pull out Sunday night. We'll get to that at the back end of the show. We're starting with another blowout win. And let's just acknowledge this first, Big Dave. That was not the real Pelican squad. That was a Zion Williams-less squad. That was a Brandon Ingram-less squad. I'm pretty sure Jackson Hayes also sat out that game. But it goes back to what you were saying when we were breaking down their first blowout against Cleveland last week, which is good. If Donovan's going to give his real guys some run in these preseason games, significant minutes, because he's like, look, there's a lot of new pieces. I want to try and build as much chemistry as we can. We got to use these preseason games. So if you're playing bums, go out and slay the bums, right?
Slay the bums, guys. That's what it's all about. That's how good teams do. You can't point out a good team in the NBA without pointing out some bum slaying. This is where they have their best games. This is how they do. The reason Matt and I are so in depth on this topic is because we watched teams do that to us for about 4 years. They walked in here and they would have their career games against us. We only have to talk about the Jackie Moon game that Klay Thompson had, or the incredible shot that Damian Lillard had, or the 50-60 point performance that CJ McCollum had. Like,
oh god,
it's been a lot. So that's what you do against these teams that aren't good. You bum slay and you beat them down. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, they didn't have their players out there. Okay, fine. Guess what? Lonzo was about to ball out because this is his old team. That's what's going to happen right now. The Bears are going to toss the Bulls are going to toss those alley-oops around and just look good from top to bottom. And, yeah, it was just another awesome beatdown, and I really enjoyed seeing it.
I think if there's one player that I would like to highlight from that Pelicans blowout win, it's Lonzo Ball. We love what we saw from him in their first game against Cleveland, doing a little bit of everything on the defensive end, and also, getting the Bulls out in transition with his great passing ability and court vision. We also were reminded in the game against the Pelicans just how lethal of a threat this guy has made himself behind the arc. What was his final stat line?
We got 19,
5 of 6 from downtown for 19 points. I mean, and his teammates were echoing it after the game. Like, look, this guy can shoot threes now. You got to guard him out there, because if you don't, he's going to make you pay.
The favorite thing I heard in the press conference after that game was when Sam Smith said to Lonzo, he said, not hearing about you can't shoot anymore there, huh? Not hearing that no more. And Lonzo, very calm and cool, he said, honestly, I ain't really heard that since my rookie year. I love that. I love that response. And then I love the follow-up question by Sam. He said, so, I mean, does this mean you're going to be leading the league in three-point percentage? And Lonzo was like, I don't see why not. Yeah, that's the kind of attitude you want. And that's the attitude and the confidence that he has right now, guys. You're watching a confident Lonzo Ball. I'm telling you, we haven't seen a confident Lonzo Ball in a few years now. He's been a guy who's been playing out of position, not being able to do what he wants to do, not having a coach fully trust him and his capabilities. And rightfully so, because he had to develop. He still had things he had to get together. But especially last year, he felt that he wasn't, being utilized correctly, and we all felt that. So now here with Billy Donovan, knowing how he likes to play, knowing the freedom that he gives his players and allowing them to use that IQ, combining that now with the shot that he has now, combining that with the respect the players now have for him, should be a good season for Lonzo Ball, man. Should be a really good season.
It really should. Outside of Lonzo, the Bulls as a team did not have a great night shooting from deep on Friday against the Pelicans. If you take out Lonzo's 5 for 6, the rest of the Bulls were, oh my goodness, 6 of 29. So not a great shooting night from behind the arc, but guess what? They still shot 49% overall from the field as a team, because we saw, and that's the other thing offensively, and Lonzo is a part of that. You saw Lonzo and Vooch playing a little two-man game, simple pick-and-roll action, and Vooch just getting bunnies, like for him, mid-range bunnies. You saw Vooch doing similar things with DeMar DeRozan, taking turns between those two players, each one getting good open looks in the mid-range. And Zach LaVine, we've fallen in love with how lethal he is as a catch-and-shoot guy from behind the perimeter, but Zach LaVine's also pretty much just automatic in mid-range. He has made that an automatic part of his game. You saw it with his effective field goal percentage last season. The mid-range, levels of efficiency from Zach are at an all-time high. So when you have all of those options, when you're playing little two-man games with Vooch and any of those three guys I just named, LaVine, DeMar, and Lonzo, and we saw all of those things in effect Friday night, you're like, even if we have an off night shooting from deep, guess what? We're getting good looks in mid-range, and the Bulls are allowed to do that again now.
Yeah, it was banned here for a while, just like headbands. Like you weren't allowed to shoot from the mid-range.
Just ask Kobe White, who showed up his rookie year and was told, no, you're not allowed to shoot mid-range.
But that's all I do. Like, that's what I do best. You don't want me to do what I do best? No, we want you to learn to do best. Okay, all right. Now how that works, guys. And also, shout out Wendell Carter Jr. He went through the same exact thing. My goodness. He went through the same thing. So did
Thad Young. Thad, you're launching 7 threes a night now.
Yeah. launching them. You're right, man. Like, I love on the offensive end how they can get you from anywhere, in any style, in any form. At least so far with that what we've seen in the preseason. Because when, like you said, when that three-point shot isn't working, guess what? Now you have the mid-range, and not only do you have the mid-range, you have lethal mid-range offensive players. So you got Zach, who's really good at the mid-range, but if he's off, you got a mid-range machine in DeMar DeRozan just waiting, to say, hey, give me the ball. I love how I'm watching DeMar DeRozan now too, Matt. It seems like he's kind of rounding into form, kind of finding exactly where he wants to be on the court and to do what he likes to do. And you don't see And this is a strong word because of the beat down they put on the Cavs the first time. But you don't see the clunkiness of the offense when they're moving it in trans. And what I mean by that, that's why Billy talked about the overpassing he thought he saw in that first game. Guys, just trying to get everybody the ball and throwing the ball a little bit too much. You haven't seen that in the next two games. They fixed that. That was the easy fix. Hey, just take the shot. Hey, it's okay. Get the layup. We're fine. That's a very easy fix. Those are the problems I like having. But I digress. DeMar DeRozan and just finding his way and where he is at now just makes the Bulls that much more lethal from that mid-range position. And let's not also leave out Vooch, who also has a mid-range shot as well. He can do that too, guys. So any way you want it, that's the way you need it, and that's the way you're going to get it.
And that's your Bulls journey breakdown for your Monday.
Yes. I'm from Chicago, man. Journey's a special place in my heart. So,
but you're right to bring up that element of the, Billy Donovan encouraging his guys that, don't overpass, but we have so many options. Our opponents really can't double anybody because if they do, one of our guys is open, and we've got a lot of potent scorers on this roster. That's why, you saw 36 assists for the Bulls in their preseason debut. You saw on Friday night against the Pelicans, 32 more assists on 47 field goals for the Bulls. The ball is moving in a way that looks pretty easy, and that's encouraging. I also wanted to talk about some of the defense that we saw in this Pelicans win, and we will get to that next in just a minute. First, though, a quick shout out to our sponsors for today, the Sleeper app. If you want to play fantasy basketball, this is where you got to go. In 2018, the fantasy sports experts at Sleeper realized that fantasy basketball was broken. Like the souls of Raiders fans yesterday, it was broken. Games were being won and lost based on whose players had more scheduled games that week. It didn't make any sense. It was dumb, and it required very little strategy. It was dumb luck. So in 2020, Sleeper addressed this problem, and they released a brand new way of playing fantasy basketball. It's called Game Pick, and it's only available on that Sleeper app. In Game Pick, owners pick a single game per week for each starter on their roster to count towards the team's total score, ensuring an even number of games played between opponents every week. The days of losing because your opponent's players just had more games than your players that week are over. The days of mindless daily busy work over. The days of giving up halfway through the season because of that busy work also over. In Game Picks, you pick one game per week per player based on things like player matchups, home and away, opponents' defensive rankings, pace of play, and more. All that adds up to more strategy and less busy work. So if you actually know what you're doing in fantasy basketball, you're going to win more often because the dumb luck has been removed. Whether you prefer redraft leagues, keeper leagues, dynasty leagues, Game Pick has you covered. Sleeper cracked the fantasy basketball code, people. If you play fantasy football like I do, like my guy Big Dave here does, if you like building out a weekly strategy, a weekly lineup, instead of that daily fantasy busy work, you're going to love Game Picks. So download that Sleeper app today and start a league with your friends. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, you will not. Listen, yesterday, guys, was an epic day for Chicago sports. You had 4 incredible games going on, and the Red Stars were playing at the same time too. So it's a big day in Chicago sports. But guess what? A lot of people didn't get to see everything because they were juggling their remotes around. They had 800 devices. They had to go get the login from a neighbor they don't even talk to anymore because they haven't given you their drill back. You haven't even spoke to them. But now, guess what? You can get rid of that. And next time you have a Chicago Sports Day, you'll be prepared. Why? Because you'll have direct TV stream, and it brings you all your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, your favorite movies, and your favorite shows all in one place. No more juggling those remotes. No need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, Law, no annual contract. Come on. So get rid of that clutter. Get rid of that confusion and get everything, including your TV, together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
All right, moving on to some additional thoughts on this Bulls-Pelicans blowout. Big Dave, we talked after the Cavs game, the first Cavs game, about how the intensity and the level of engagement on the defensive end from Billy Donovan's guys in that game really keyed their ability to get out and run and get some of those easy transition buckets that Billy Donovan wants to do with this athletic young squad. And we saw a continuation of that trend in this game Friday against New Orleans. 19 turnovers the Bulls forced Pelicans into making and turned that into 31 points. I mean, that is a huge advantage. And look, again, no Zion, no Ingram. These were bums. These were the bum Pelicans. The question now, I think, on a lot of Bulls fans' minds, Big Dave, is can you take that same level of buy-in? And it sounds like Billy has been harping defense in training camp. Through these preseason games, we're seeing it. You know, you still occasionally get a brain fart off-ball mistake from Levine or from DeMar, the usual suspects.
Sure.
But you're also seeing them make some effort plays when they can. And Lonzo looks like an incredible help defensively to this team. So does Alex Caruso. Some of these other guys that, you know, Derek Jones and his length after missing the first preseason game, we've seen him for a couple of games. Alize Johnson on the boards. Like, if the Bulls can play like this defensively this season, what will it look like against harder competition? Like, can they have the same level of defensive success against real competition, against Giannis and the Bucks, against, you know, KD and the Brooklyn Nets? Obviously a tougher test than anything we've seen in preseason, but the fact that they're engaging and really keying in on let's make this a part of our offense is creating takeaways. I like what we're seeing so far. Do you think we can see it continue?
Wow, that's a great question. I think yes, because repetition, you know what I'm saying, consistently doing it over and over again is how you get better at stuff. It's how you build muscle, you know what I'm saying, for on a much lower scale. You lift more weights and you consistently do it all the time. Guess what? You'll get stronger. So if you keep playing this defense and doing it the way the Bulls are doing it, guess what? You're going to get better at it. They look like a just ridiculously new, wonderful team, especially on the defensive end, Matt. They had also with those 19 turns, they had 14 steals that game. They had 14 steals, and 9 of them were from their starting 5. 4 of them were from your center. Like from your center. All right. That is incredible stuff.
Who gets dragged for his defense all the time.
All the time.
You know, and probably fairly so in certain regards.
Sure.
But yeah, that's like I said, everybody's chipping in, right?
Yeah, and like I keep telling people about Vooch, if you go ahead and look at his defensive rating numbers, he's not a terrible defender. He's just average, okay? He's not going to be blocking shots and, you know, doing all that stuff, but he's average. And if you put him around other people that have really above average defense, guess what? He will go up a little slight tick to be slightly above average. And that makes him better. And that's how you get 4 steals. That's how you get the amount of blocks that he can get because he's playing with better defensive players. That's all that is too, Matt. Like, let's not remove that as well. I know Billy Donovan definitely gets the praise as he should, but these guys, they actually got defenders now. They actually got guys who can really truly play defense. And we still haven't seen the guy that we consider probably their first or second best defender out there yet in Patrick Williams. So that's going to add more defense to your team right there. But what we're seeing now, Matt, I think will continue on into the season because they know if they want to be the team they want to be, if they want to run, they want to be that team that's a transition team and gets up and down the floor, they have to do it on the defensive end first. Zach LaVine talked about that in the press conference when he says Billy Donovan, all he does is show us film from these teams like Golden State and other great teams like that who are great offensively, but it always started on the defensive end for those kind of teams. He said, if you want to be that kind of team, this is where it has to start at, guys. And they feels like, Matt, that they have completely bought into that.
Yeah. And I mean, Billy Donovan, that guy knows how to coach defense. And we'll get to the second Cavs game in a minute, but I thought one of his interesting post-game comments in that one was about making up for a lack of size with length. And I think he was talking about Alize Johnson in particular. And I want to talk about him in a little bit too. And sort of like, you know, Tony Bradley, our backup center, supposedly to get spot minutes while Vooch is resting, is out, has missed this entire preseason thus far with a minor injury. And Alize Johnson has gotten, you know, minutes as a center, so to speak. And like his penchant for rebounding the ball is incredible, what we've seen so far. That's what we thought he would contribute, maybe not to this degree. But again, it's about what can we use to our, like, you know, strategically, our best strengths and masking some of our weaknesses. And when it comes to size on the defensive end, Billy is looking around at all of these pieces that AK and Mark went out and got him this summer, being like, okay, well, we might not have the most size on any given night, but we got a hell of a lot of length. And if we combined that with actually, as you put it, just simply buying in, engage on the defensive end and see if it can help you create those transition opportunities offensively, because anybody might get out talented on paper any night, but can you out effort your opponent on the defensive end? Because when Zach tries to play defense, he's passable. When DeMar tries to play defense, he's not great, but he's passable.
Absolutely.
And then you think about the fact that you have actually upgraded to having multiple above average defenders on this team's roster. You're like, yeah, what's to prevent them from being a top 10 defense, in addition to how excited we are to see them put up points every night?
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think also with DeMar, you're going to see an uptick in his defense as well, because they want to run. And DeMar is like, wow, this looks fun. Like, this is cool. Like, you kind of saw it in the first game and the second game. Like, he was a part of that defense. You know what I mean? Like, he was getting in there, getting those skills, getting those steals, getting those deflections, just playing those passing lanes, bodying up the defender when the ball is on them. They're not giving them any room to do anything in those first couple of games. That's the stuff I like from DeMar DeRozan, because you might not always get it as far as steals and blocks, but can you put a body on that guy right there? Can you interrupt those passes that might be coming in? Can you get over the pick like that? He's definitely been doing that. Like, you're watching his IQ out there. And again, that word again, they're high IQ on this team. And you're seeing it on the defensive end also. So yeah, I think DeMar has really been also, and honestly, better than advertised for me defensively. I'm not saying he's been, world beating, but better than advertised, because he's out there putting in an effort. That's the key. We screamed about that. Well, at least me for sure. Screamed about this last year and the year before. I just wanted to see effort. I wanted to see guys just put it in and try on the defensive end. I'm not saying you're going to stop everybody, but how about some effort on that? You know what I mean? You're definitely seeing that now. And it's so much fun to see, man. And that's why you get the smiles. You get that $10 million smile from my man, Matt Peck over there. Because the Bulls are actually going in and putting in effort. Y'all right? Effort. That's what we doing. And that's key. That's very key.
And using these preseason games as that, the first step, the foundational piece of this is a part of our mental makeup every night, is engaging like that on the defensive end. And gaining the confidence of, see what happens when you play spirited defense? You see the way that you can get out and run and have all these fun, fast breaks with Levine and Caruso and Lonzo, and it's all that fun. That fun comes from being locked in on the defensive end. And getting to, bum slay the Cavs and the fake Pelicans hopefully gives them the confidence to say, okay, we are going to face stiffer offensive competition than this on a nightly basis once the real games start and we see some real opponents. But keep that same mentality coming into the game, and we are confident that we can get stops and we can create turnovers and we can do it against anybody, because we're making a part of our DNA, a part of our makeup from the first week of training camp on. Hopefully we see more of that. Their third preseason game, not as easy of a win, but another win. Before we get to this Bulls-Cavs rematch, Big Dave, you want to tell our listeners where they can find themselves some delicious protein bars?
Oh, there's only one place to do it, Matt. And the only place, because it's sworn and it's stamped by my main man, Matt Peck. And that is Built Bar. Oh, just delicious, just tasty, and you want it, because who don't like chocolate, all right? You don't like chocolate? You don't like flavors? Well, you shouldn't be on this earth, because there's something wrong with your taste buds, okay? But you're going to want this, because Built Bar has it all. You just say, oh, man, they only got chocolate, they only got one flavor? Guess that. Let me run these flavors down to you. You want some cherry barcia? You want some raspberry? You want that salted caramel?
Yes.
You want that strawberry? How about a little orange for you? You want that coconut? They got you covered. All right. You want it. And so let me tell you what else is going down in it. Because let's say you're sitting there enjoying these tasty bars and they're delicious, and your loved one steps up to you because they're concerned about your health. They're like, why are you just sitting here eating candy all day? Well, you can tell them it's 17 grams of protein. The calories are ranging from 130 to 180. There are only 4 or 5 grams of sugar and 4 or 5 grams of net carbs. And then you tell them, get your hands off mine and go get your own because I know you want some. All right? Because they're all tasty, they're all healthy, and they're all amazing. You want to know the flavor of the month this time? How about that apple almond crisp? Oh, get you some of that. That's the flavor of the month, y'all. I ain't got to say no more because you know you're hungry and you want some. Go to built.com. Use that promo code. Just because we love you, we're going to give you a promo code LOCKED15 to save you 15% on that order. So head over to built.com. Use that promo code LOCKED15. Save yourself 15%, y'all. Oh, Built Bar. Delicious.
We want to introduce a new segment from our partners at Nissan. The Find Your Frontier highlights each week will tell you about incredible stories from NBA history, where players or organizations pioneered new frontiers for their league and influenced the world around them. This week's Find Your Frontier NBA highlight is brought to you by the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier. The adventure begins where the road ends, so get out there and find your frontier. In 2010, with the nationally televised free agency special and blowout party to celebrate his arrival in Miami, LeBron James changed the NBA forever. By joining forces with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade in South Beach, LeBron booked a ticket to 4 straight finals and proved he was right to bet on himself and take his career into his own hands. The era of player empowerment arrived at the league's doorstep and revolutionized the business, culture, and coverage of the NBA first, then in time, the entire sports landscape. LeBron found a new frontier by betting on himself. How will you? Find your frontier today in the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier. Shop nissanusa.com.
Man, as we are now entering that part of the season where, you know, there are like Thanksgiving-y themed flavors, fall themed flavors. Dude, give me an apple almond crisp flavor over pumpkin spice like 10 times out of 10. I don't know about you. I love me some 10. Apple almond crisp.
Listen, 11 out of 10. You put apple on it, I'm in. Like apple and crisp. I'm like, okay, that sounds like me. Come on with it.
Meanwhile, I've never been on that pumpkin spice hype train, man.
Not for you.
Like, calm down. Calm down with your pumpkin spice.
Get away from me with your pumpkin spice. Again,
you know what flavor you know what flavor I want my coffee to taste like? Coffee. People with their pumpkin spice.
You with the pumpkin spice. You're obsessed with the pumpkin spice.
Enough with the pumpkin spice. All right, so moving on. This was a fight. Maybe I think the Cavaliers had a little sense of damaged pride after that first preseason game and came out and said, no, you know what? I want to show something. You know, even our guy Lowry had a much better night. He finished 8 of 14, 18 points. Stuff the stat sheet and some other places. He actually was tallied with 3 blocks. 3 blocks in one game for Lowry Markkanen.
Yeah. Incredible.
That's a third of his career total. That's insane. But look, okay, so two key areas to me, Dave, where I think this game was a tighter one than the first one. The Bulls, as we mentioned, dominated the Cavs as far as creating takeaways and protecting the ball themselves in that first game. I think the Bulls only had like 9 turnovers in game 1 against Cleveland, and meanwhile got a zillion points off of turnovers that they generated. In this one, the Bulls were a little sloppy. They were careless with the ball. They gave up 17 turnovers, and they actually gave up the slight advantage to Cleveland in the points off turnovers category. That's not great. And then you double with that the fact that the Bulls shot even worse than they did in that Pelicans game. 7 of 24 from downtown, 29%, and only 47%. Wait, nope, that's the Cavs stat I'm reading. 7 for 28, 25% for the Bulls from downtown, and just 41.8% from the field overall. Outside of DeMar, who had a pretty efficient night, 9 of 17, 23 points. Vooch, 3 of 12. Lonzo, 4 of 12. Zach, 5 of 14. If you aren't hitting your shots and you're being sloppy with the ball, you're going to get that closer result that we saw on Sunday.
Yeah, and before I go into this, let me say this real quick. Lowry Markkanen did what I've been screaming for him to do was, oh, man, the smaller dude is on me. Well, guess what? Let me go up on this smaller person. Let me use my size to do something. Oh, I just figured that out because I got beat down by 40 and I'm embarrassed. Yeah, all right, that's how that go. All right. Ugh, annoying. But yes, good game for Lowry. But to everything you said is right. You know why I like this game so much, Matt? Because this is the first game where you saw the Bulls look human. That's why I was excited. I was like, I get worried sometimes when you look flawless in the preseason because it's the preseason.
Yeah.
I feel that way in football. I feel that way in basketball. I don't like flawless. I don't like just, oh man, no holes. You know what I mean? I don't like that.
Right.
I need to see, I need to just see those mistakes, especially with a new team. You know what I mean?
If it looks too good to be true, it probably is, that kind of thing.
You feel me? It's that kind of thing, Matt. And I just need to see, like, okay, where are the flaws? Where can we work on? Where can we improve? What do we need? Show me where Patrick Williams is needed out here, because now I'm hearing people like, well, Javonte Green on Patrick Williams, like he's 6'4", calm down. So this is what I kind of needed to see, honestly. And they did not play well. Maybe they weren't all the way up to. I don't want to take anything away from the Cavs, because the Cavs definitely were up to it. They were playing to that level. It was also the first road game for the Bulls too. Their first two games of the preseason were at home. Mm-hmm. So this was their first one where they actually went on the road to play. But I liked it, Matt. I really did. Just showing those mistakes, because it also showed me, and this is, again, where I talked about him in the last segment, it also showed me the importance of DeMar DeRozan. Because when everything is going wrong, and I said this when we drafted him over and over again, when everything's going wrong and you need a bucket, you got a dude who's a bucket getter. Everything was going wrong. You couldn't score. Who do I give the ball to? Hey, DeMar, because you go do what you do. I got you. I don't care. Is 7-foot dude on me? Yeah, let me do a spin fadeaway on this dude real quick.
Right. And he hit two of those like in quick succession where you're like, oh, man. Okay. Offense is sputtering. Just give the ball to DeMar.
Yeah. Just give it to him. Both back to back and both from the baseline. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, dude, that's what you want. That's exactly what I wanted. And I really enjoyed it. And I was thinking, this is why I was thankful for DeMar. And he also shot pretty good from the 3-point line, which I was like, this is a misprint, because the experts told me he can't shoot three. So that can't be real. We'll get over that. We'll move on from that. Nobody's perfect. But I really enjoyed that part, Matt. Now, of course, the turnovers and the tough shooting night for the team. I want to see it again on the road. You know what I'm saying? I want to see them play again on the road, because I don't know if it was just them being off on preseason, or, if they just don't like playing away from home. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And it's preseason. Again, I understand it's preseason, but I still want to see it again on the road. But big shout out to DeMar, and I know who you want to talk about next, so I'm not even going to step on his name yet. So I'm going to just say DeMar did great, and it made me excited for fourth quarters of the season, when things are, on the line and you really truly need it, or when it's a 6-0, 8-0 run and you really truly need it, or there's a drought going on and you really truly need it. I know I got a guy who can go get it, and that's DeMar DeRozan.
And I also want to give one quick shout out to Lonzo before we get to some bench minutes. I mentioned that Lonzo, like his fellow starters, did not have a great night shooting. Contributing in other ways. If your shot's not falling, and it's this, a piece of advice that every coach gives to their players, if your shot's not falling, find other ways to impact the game. Lonzo against the Cleveland Cavs on Sunday night, 5 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks. 3 steals and 4 blocks. I mean, we cannot say enough about Lonzo Ball's defense so far through the preseason, can we, Dave?
You can't say enough. It's amazing. I mean, oh man, I'm broke. Oh man, I can't hit my shot tonight. Oh well, you know what? Let me go shut this guy down the other end, because guess what? If I can't score, you can't score. If I'm having a bad game, you're gonna have a bad game, because I'm gonna make your life miserable on this defensive end. That is the sign of a great player and a great point guard, ladies and gentlemen, because Lonzo knows himself. He knows it. He like, oh no, I ain't got it tonight. This ain't my thing. This ain't going how it's going to go tonight. Well, guess what? Let me go ahead and let me get out here and do what I do best. And that's go ahead and play this defense. And also, he hit 2 3. I think he was 2 of 5, 2 of 6 from the 3-point line also. So he hit a couple of threes. Yeah. Hit a couple of threes, man, just to keep the defense honest. And that's what those threes do. When you're having a tough shot night, you still got to hit a 3 or 2 to keep that defense honest, where they still got to play on you and can't just leave you alone. You know what I'm saying? So that's good stuff by Lonzo Ball, man. And yeah, Matt's right. Like, he impacted the game on the defensive end, man. And that's important. 4 blocks. He's a point guard. 4. Come on.
All right, now let's talk about the guy who is all of a sudden rivaling Javonte Green for my new favorite Chicago Bull.
I knew this where we
And
was
that
going.
Alizé all the way Johnson. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. 14 and 11 double-double in just 18 minutes. Look, and he was talked about after this game by his coach, Billy Donovan. And Billy Donovan basically said, like, yeah, we're playing undersized. He's playing undersized at center. He's in there with all these trees that the Cavs have. They got Jared Allen. They got Mobley. They got all the Taco Fall, for crying out loud. The man's 7'5", and Alizé's in there getting boards. Yeah. He's in there getting boards, and he's fighting, and he's scrapping, and he's getting easy buckets around the rim because of his hustle on that glass. I don't know how Billy Donovan is going to work this out when Tony Bradley comes back and what his rotation is going to look like. Alizé Johnson is a person who is one of the last arrivals, a non-fully guaranteed contract, if I'm not mistaken. And people are wondering, is he on the cusp? Is he going to beat out Stanley Johnson, Matt Thomas, these other guys for that, final 15th roster spot? This man is earning a spot not only on the roster in these preseason minutes, I think he's earning a spot in Billy's rotation with these preseason minutes. Big Dave, what say you?
If you all listened to me when they got him, and I told you what he was going to be, and I told you the goon that was all in his soul of this young man right here, that's what you're seeing on this floor. This dude's rebounding and tenacious. He is so tenacious when he's going in there and getting that. We talked about effort earlier. He's all about these things. What impressed me the most about the whole game for him, Matt, was the last half of the game, like in the fourth quarter, with about 2 minutes or 3 minutes left. When they bring in Taco Fall, who's like 7'20",
7'5",
like he's ridiculously huge. All right, and they're like, Alizé, take him. Go ahead and guard him. Why don't you go ahead and get some defense on him? And he was like, okay. And he's going down. And I mean, Taco's getting the ball, and Alizé is all in him. I mean, playing that defense, making it hard for him. And it shouldn't be hard because he's 7'5", but he was making it difficult for him to actually go up and score. And he was still getting rebounds. Guys, it's Dennis Rodman taught us this a long time ago. It's not about your size. It's about the effort. Okay? That's what it's about when you're going to get a rebound. You learn that, guys, when you watch these great rebounders like Dennis, who was not tall as far as rebounders is concerned, and Charles Barkley, who definitely wasn't tall when you talk about how rebounders are concerned. Or when you talk about guys like Ben Wallace, who was an undersized center, and people like that. But my goodness, the effort that he gives you on that end, the offensive and the defensive glass, because he plays both pretty well. So the effort he gives you there and the skill that he has around the basket to put it back and score. Because he's not just getting it and like, raw, just flailing and going on and things like that. No, he's got the skill to actually get that rebound and get it back up and put it back in and get to the free throw line. That's impressive stuff. That will get you in the lineup for sure.
I mean, 5 of 6 from the field and 4 of 5 from the free throw line. I don't think you can't get much more efficient than that, unless you're just going to bat 1,000 for a night. All right. Last player we got to give some credit to here, Dave, and we haven't talked about him much yet in our preseason breakdown. The kid, the Chicago kid and the U of I product, Ayo Dosunmu, back-to-back big buckets in this game that, look, it's a preseason game. It doesn't count, so to speak, but all of his veteran teammates after the game praising him for his absolute lack of fear. There's your proof that Ayo is like, oh, we got to get a bucket, tight game, late game. I got this. Let me just hit this running floater over Taco Fall. Let me get this little juke crossover floater in the mid-range, like running down the lane. Both of those buckets from Ayo were impressive as far as like basketball skill and cold-blooded as hell, man.
Yeah. Again, that is more stuff that will get you playing time on any NBA team, not just this team, any NBA team where you're doing stuff like that. we already talked about being tenacious. We already talked about effort, those kind of things. But it's the fact that you're getting them from this rookie. That's the key of what we're saying. Everybody else we talked about is a veteran, established in this league, stuff that they probably learned over their years of playing in the NBA. He's coming in here with this now. He's got this now, okay? After the game, Matt, when they were talking to Zach LaVine, and you mentioned they were talking about Ayo, he said, I have never met a rookie that has asked more questions than Ayo. He was like, he's asked questions all the time about what is going on. What was great about that is Ayo said that's exactly what he was going to do when he got here. He said, I'm just going to ask questions and try to get better. I'm just going to ask questions, try to get better. That's usually lip service, you know what I'm saying, from rookies and things like that. Because maybe some don't want to do it. Maybe some are a little more fearful to do it. Maybe some feel like they don't need to ask. It's not lip service with him, man. Like, because all of them say this. Like, DeMar talks about it. Lonzo, they all talk about how many questions, Billy Donovan, how many questions that he asks all the time. He wants to know everything. He wants to absorb it, take it back to the gym, work on it, and then bring it back to the game. So when he gets in, he knows what to be and what to do. You saw the calm and coolness of it, Matt, because even after he hit the shot, it was nothing. It was no celebration for him. He was like, okay, thanks, guys. All right. When it sat down, okay, what we doing next? What's the defensive play? Let's do this now. Let's go win this game. That's a rookie out here with this kind of mindset, man. That's a big deal. I can't explain how big of a deal that is to y'all because it's not about your skill. Like, life is 90% mental, 10% physical. A lot of people have the physical attributes to be on that court, but not the mental. His mental is strong. And that's what's going to take him a long way with this team. And that's awesome to see.
Yeah. You just love that kind of confidence in a rookie. He's clearly, it seems like confident and humble at the same time. Asking questions, that's humble. That's saying these vets know more than I do. Let me pick their brains every minute of every day. But when I'm given my chances by coach to go out there and show what I can do, I'm not afraid of the moment. I'm going to seize every opportunity I have. Speaking of NBA players with confidence, quick shout out before we wrap up to our old friend Denzel Valentine, who was a DNP coach's decision in this second game.
Why is that doing that?
Maybe because there was no garbage time. The game was close, and the Cavs were like, no, we can't put Denzel out there. But one of my favorite moments of the weekend, all of the sports I watched, was Taco Fall missing a layup. I mean, how do you miss a layup if you're Taco Fall? Then got his own rebound off a miss, and then got fouled on the putback attempt. Denzel jumps up off his seat on the sidelines and flexes and mean mugs. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, okay, good for you for supporting your teammate. What did you have to do with this? Why are you flexing?
Look, man. Matt, look at the
DNP,
joy man now.
DNP in a preseason game.
Look at him, man. He's so joyous because he knows this isn't our problem anymore. He knows it's not our problem anymore. We don't have to deal with it now. Now Matt can laugh at this, where before it made him cry. But now he can laugh at these things. Oh my goodness, the joy.
I love it. I love it so much.
And I want to point out real quick, Matt, another reason why that's important. Last year, guys, bum slaying, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Cavs. Just want to say that to y'all, okay? They lost 2 out of 3 to the Cavs. So don't tell me it ain't important that we bum slaying, all right? 2 out of 3 to the Cavs. It's important.
Yikes. Yikes. All right, so Bulls are 3-0 in preseason. 1 preseason game to go later this week against the Grizzlies. I think actually we have to wait all the way until Friday. That's the preseason finale. Back at home against Memphis. The Grizz 2-1 in the preseason. This could be the Bulls' greatest challenge if the Grizz actually play, their starters some real minutes, as we've seen Billy Donovan do with his guys so far this preseason. I think the Sunday game against Cleveland was more of a challenge, but I think it was more what the Bulls were doing incorrectly or poorly compared to the challenge presented by Cleveland. And again, no disrespect to them. They bounced back because, I think they were pissed off about that first game. But the Grizzlies could be a new challenge where the Bulls are not just dealing with their own mistakes or their own off shooting night like Sunday against Cleveland, but like, oh crap, This team is more talented than anything we've seen so far. How do we handle this, especially as we talked about on that defensive end? So between now and Friday, fear or not, it's a long time to wait for our next Bulls game, but Dave and I will be here every day bringing y'all content because we know you guys are hyped up there for the start of this season. Hit us up on that text to voicemail line if you want to be a part of the show, 331-979-1369. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Bulls_Peck. He is at BAW, BAWL Sports. We are at Locked On Bulls. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Have a great start to your Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh episode. For Big Dave, I'm Matt. See Red, be good. Peace out. Denzel.